Hello students of class 11th and 12th ICSC. Welcome to my channel, the digital classes by Adarsh Vili. And today we are going to start with the poem The Darkling Thrush. I have told you about this poem in my previous video. So today I'll give you a quick revision of extract number 1 and then we will continue with the poem. So the poem is Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy. So in standard number 1, I have told you that it says about I lean upon my coppice gate. Here the poet is speaking about the time when he was very much depressed due to the weather which was very cold at that time. So here he was standing in front of his gate, that is inside his house, and he was looking outside. So he says over here that I stood leaning upon a wooden gate and watched the scene outside. The frost appeared like a ghost. The last part of the winter has turned the scene gloomy and desolate. The light of the sun was fading. The tingled beams of the climbing plants lined the sky. They looked like useless broken layers. Due to coldness and darkness, all human beings except I had retired to their homes to sit by the fireside to warm themselves. So in the first extract, the poet is trying to explain us that it was the time of winter when he was very gloomy, he was very sad, that there was no sign of life anywhere. So this way you see that the poet is feeling very sad. Now we will start from the second extract. The second extract of the poem says that the land's sharp features seems to be centuries corpse outlined. His cribbed the cloudy canopy, the wind its death lament. The ancient pulse of gleam and birth was shaken hard and dry, and every spirit upon the earth seems favorless as I. So in these lines, the poet says that the sharp features of the land seems to be centuries old. Here the 19th century has been mentioned. So this poem was written at the end of the 19th century, which was also considered as the death of 19th century. So the 19th century here has been termed as a dead body that laid out for the burial. The clouds hanging in the sky would serve as the tomb for the dead body. The wind that blows seems to sing the funeral song. The owing to the extreme cold, the rhythm of the conceptions and birth had slowed down considerably. Everybody, including myself, seems to be devoid of the zest and enthusiasm. So here the poet is talking about the time when everything has come to an halt. Even the birth cycle has come to a stop. Now let's see the keywords in this stanza. The first keyword is nigh, N-I-G-H, nigh, which means near. The second word is had sought their household fires. Here the people are mentioned here that they have come to they have retired to their homes to warm themselves by the fireside. Then the sharp features the century's corpse. Here the poet is pointing about the dead body of 19th century. The poem was written on 29 December to mark the close of the 19th century. Another word is outland. The word outland means laid out for burial. Next word is his crypt, which means its tomb. Then the cloudy canopy. The cloud hanging in the sky reminded by the poet as the tomb of the dead century. Then another word is death lament. The word death lament means mourning over the death. Ancient pulse. Another word ancient pulse, which means ancient rhythm. The gleam of birth. Here the conception and the delivery, which means that the cycle of birth has come to a stop. Shaken hard and dry. The word shaken hard and dry means had slowed down considerably. Then favorless. Favorless means devoid of zest and listless, it has become lifeless. So here the poet has tried to explain us that everything has come to a standstill and there was no feeling of life left in anything. Then let's see the third stanza of the poem. It says, at once a voice rose among the bleak twigs overhead, in a full-hearted oversong of joy lamented. An aged thrush, frail, blunt and small, in blast bare fluffed plumes, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. Here the poet says that suddenly he heard a cheerful voice which rose from among the dark twigs overhead. It was a full throated evening song of endless joy. A week old thrush, as I have told you, thrush is a small bird whose plume has been battered. Plume means feathers. Battered means that they have been shattered, they have been worn out by the storm, was clearly going to die soon, yet it chose to pour out its heart cheerfully in the midst of the growing gloom. So here we see that in such a time when everything has come to a stop, here the only joyful thing was the song of the bird, that was the thrush, and it was singing. Though the condition of the bird was not good, it has become very weak, its feather was all worn out due to the storm, and it is also possible that the bird has come out in this cold season. It is actually a migratory bird, and it is possible that the bird might have come out because the nest of the bird may have been destroyed by the storm. So here the bird is singing the cheerful song in the midst of the growing gloom, in the midst of the sadness. The poet was quite surprised to hear the song of the bird. Then we see the keywords over here given in third stanza. The first keyword is bleak. Bleak means dull and dark. Another word is twigs. Twigs means small lifeless branches of tree. Another word is full-hearted. Full-hearted means whole-hearted, adherent. Evening song. Evensong. It means song sung in the evening. Illimited. Illimited means infinite and boundless. Frail. The word frail means weak. Agaunt means thin. Then the word blast, filled, which means destroyed and battered by the storm. Plume. Plume means feathers. Fling his soul. Fling his soul means pour out its heart, sing with great vigor and energy. And the last word in this extract is gloom, which means darkness. So in this way we see that the poet was quite surprised to hear the song of the bird, that was the thrush. Then we see the fourth and the last extract of this poem, which is so little cause for caroling of such aesthetic sound was written on the terrestrial things afar on night around, that I could think were trembled through his happy good night air, some blessed hope whereof he knew and I was unaware. In these lines the poet says that there was no sign of hope or joy to give any cause to the bird to sing. There was nothing on the earth, near or afar, which could have made the thrush sing a delightful song. There might be in the bird's heart some hope of good fortune about which I had not known. So the poet does not know that why in this condition also the bird is singing this song. Now we see the keywords that is given in stanza number 4. The first word is caroling. Caroling is a singing of song. Then another word is aesthetic. Aesthetic means joyful, joyful song. Terrestrial. The word terrestrial means earthly. Then the word afar. Afar means at a distance. Then another word is nigh, N-I-G-H, which means nearby. Then we have another word over here, happy good night air. It means its happy song meant to say a good night to every listener. Another word is blessed hope, which means some hope of good fortune. And the last word over here is whereof. Whereof means of which. So in this manner what we see that despite of all the difficulties, the bird was singing its song. Now let's see the critical appreciation of the poem. That is, first we see the title of the poem. The title of the poem, The Darkling Thrush, is an apt and suggestive title for the poem. It is so because it is the singing bird that is used to sing, which has been described in the poem. The happy voice of the bird startles the poet, who finds himself engulfed by the gloaming within and without. He fails at first to understand the relation of the bird's song in such a sad time, and why it is expressing its happiness when there is nothing of hope and promise around. Then he thinks that the bird might have found some possibility of hope. The line over here, some blessed hope whereof he knew and I was unaware. So the poet was unaware of the hope which the bird is having. Now the message which comes out from the poem is, though the darkling thrush gives no obvious message, it is certainly a poem of hope. So the message of the poem is that it is the poem of hope. It is of course a complex poem and can be read at many levels. The poet describes an evening scene on a very cold wintry day, and in this way he explained the imagery also. Some part of imagery is given. I leant upon the coppice gate when the frost was sceptre grey. The winter drages comes desolate, the weakening eye of the day. But the poet advances. We gather that the main interest of the poem lies not in the desolation of the winter scene, but the desolation in the speaker's own heart. So in this manner we can say that the poet was sad and he was feeling the sadness was from inside his heart. There is a correspondence between the mood of nature and the mood of human being, and yet the song of the bird confirms that it is not so. Though the speaker seems to be totally hopeless and listless, this is not true of nature. The bird's song is a reminder of the good old days to come. It initiates the bird a new era which may bring some good to mankind. This note of hope is been given in the poem. Then we see the poem also describes about the hope which is given to the poet by the song of the poem, which is given in the poem. The poem can be summed up in the following points. Now the points, I am giving you some of the points in which you can sum up the poem. The first point that we should consider over here is the bleak winter scene. The first point in the poem is the bleak winter scene. The poet recalls a scene of desolation in winter season. It was a twilight. The light of the sun was fading fast. The poet was leaning against the wooden gate. The frost had begun to settle on everything. All around there was a scene of desolation. The increasing of darkness and coldness had forced all human beings to take shelter in their homes. The climbing plants that lined the sky around the place seems to the poet to be broken strings of the musical instrument. So this is the first point in the poem which says about the bleak winter scene. Then the second point in the poem is end of the century. As the poet views the bleakness of the winter landscape, it seems to remind him of the 19th century. He has come to a close. The sharp features of the land seems to be the country's dead body laid on the burial. The poet saw the clouds in the sky hanging as if they were forming a canopy. These clouds, he thought, would serve as the burial ground for the dead body, that is of the century. The wind that was blowing heard seems to be lamenting over the death of the century. The poet possesses an imagination that even the cycle of birth had slowed down as a result of the extreme cold of the winter. This extreme cold and frost that always accompanied winter had robbed away living creatures of their zest and enthusiasm. The poet does not feel cheerful or enthusiastic in any way. Now, the next point in the poem, that is the third point which is important in this poem, that is the sudden unexpected voice. Suddenly there arose a voice from the leafless branches of the tree around the poet. This was the voice of the weak aged thrush, which was not visible at all. Its feathers had been broken and destroyed by the wintry storm. Despite of its weakness, it started pouring joyful notes. In a bleak atmosphere, it seems to express its heartful delight. And then we see the fourth point in the poem, that is the note of hope. This is another point, that is the fourth point in the poem, that is the note of hope. The poet wondered what could cause the thrush to sing. There was no sign of any joy. The whole scene around was bleak. The poet could not make out the reason of the happy song of the bird. The bird might have some happy expectation. It might have some hope of good fortune about which the poet was unaware of. So, the poet was unaware of any hope, but the bird was knowing that there was hope in the nature. The poem thus concludes on the note of the ambiguity. The word blessed hope cannot be explained clearly, though they seems to express some religious belief, which the poet had not belief in any religion or religious system. So, this way Thomas Hardy has tried to give us a poem which is about the hope of the bird in relation to nature. Now, let's quickly see some of the questions which are given. First question is, that is question number 1. Discuss the Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy as a representative poem of the Victorian era with close reference to the text. Give example for the text. You can refer to this question. And then we have another question over here. Question number 2. Give an account of the scene on a winter day as described by Thomas Hardy in the poem The Darkling Thrush. You can consider this question also. The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy depicts a general mood of gloom and desolation. How does the song of the thrush comes to disrupt it? What do you think of the importance of the bird's song? So, these questions you can consider. Some short questions are also there, which I have already given you in the last chapter. Now, some of the brief questions you can also consider. The referring closely to the poem The Darkling Thrush, describe the scene in the nature as depicted by the poet. So, you can consider this question also, and comment on the significance of the happy song of the thrush in the poem. This can be another short question for you. And what does the poem The Darkling Thrush tell you about the man's relationship with nature? So, these questions you can consider as long and short questions, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And for more videos you can log on to my YouTube channel Success Mantra by Adarsh Vili, where you will get more informative videos which will be very helpful for you in your studies of English literature as well as English language. Kindly give your views to me either on WhatsApp, or you can also give your views on my channel Success Mantra by Adarsh Vili. And I hope that you all enjoyed this poem, and I am thankful to you for listening to me. And also you must understand the text, and for the next time I will coming up with more poem. Thank you very much.